Greetings, folks, and welcome to the last voyage of the Whales Whiskers. This is session 2 of season 2 of our adventure through the southern continent of Valknor. For those of you who've tuned into some of my other streams. But I want to welcome you all to the channel. If this is your first time here, we do run our channel 100% for charity. If you would like to support us, we ask you to support our charity that we support, which is Satchel's Last Resort, which is a last chance rescue here in Florida, down in Sarasota. For those of you who know me from social media, it's where Lunar came from, and they are great people doing great work, trying to make sure that dogs who have expended chances everywhere else still have a good life and hopefully can find a forever home. So if you do want to donate, just click down below. It takes you right to their site, right to their donation page. They are a 501c, so it works for all your taxes and all that good kind of stuff. So definitely give a chance to support them. Without further ado, because we like to jump right into the game here, we're going to go around and meet our cast and find out who they are playing. We will start off with Kuma.
Hi, hello, yes, I'm Kuma. I play Kato, our brass dragonborn life cleric. What a mouthful. He is a coward, and I adore him.
Next up, we have Bird.
Hey folks, I'm Bird. I'm going to be playing Baldir the Wanderer, our Loxodon Storm Sorcerer.
Next up, we have Meta.
Hi everyone, I'm Metazoa. I'm going to be playing as Queda. She is an Eldritch Knight fighter, and she is a dwarf.
Next up, we have Grant.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Grant, and I'm going to be playing Howron, our Drow Circle of Stars druid.
Next up is Ace.
Hi, I'm Ace, and I play Duron, the Warlock of the Fathoms.
And last but not least, we have Soul.
Hey everybody, I'm Soul. I am playing Otrek, our lizard folk artificer.
And everyone's favorite water sausage.
I do have the reputation as being a sausage of much chonkitude.
Yes. I am Tallswell. I am your DM and will be guiding you through our adventure. And so, with that, let's get ourselves sort of regrounded back in to our story. When we last left off, our group had a harrowing encounter in this corrupted reef structure that they were sent to by Shimandala, our good friend Duron's patron, a giant, truly colossal, primordial bronze dragon. It was a rough time for the party. 3 players went unconscious, a disease ravaged another 2 players, and even on returning back to the safety of their ship, they found that this piece of the sky, this shard of the sky that they'd been sent to recover, had been corrupted, and that corruption is now exerting itself upon their ship, and that denizens of the Vile Reef attacked their crew while they were gone, leading to Kato to have to try to resurrect them, or successfully resurrect them, but utilizing a great many resources that are in short supply in this young world where they are exploring far beyond the edges of civilization. There's not a lot of places to restock things such as diamonds and other critical components for some higher level spellcasting. Many discussions between the different characters of trying, just sort of recovering, reliving, understanding what their next steps were. Duron, most with the biggest reaction, I would say, to the fallout of this, having it been his patron that sent them on this errand, and also being one of the people who was most affected by death, disease, and corruption. Basically, reaching out, trying to get in contact with his patron, trying to get an answer from him after being pretty much commanded, once again, to take this shard to a specified place known as Volhuran, a name that Duran does not recognize, other than that it seems to be an ancient primordial form of Draconic. Meanwhile, our other navigator, Halran, while gazing into the stars where he usually would find solace as a drow in both darkness and as a druid of the stars, the night sky, was visited with a vision, almost an ancestral memory, of his people who had run from a dark goddess across the Shadowfell to this world that provided them sanctuary. But as he looked at the stars, he found eyes back upon him, arachnid eyes, telling him that he was seen. The ship, without any direction from either navigator, began sailing northward, even though, as Duran knew, that was not the direction they had been commanded to go. As night fell, party, some suffering from exhaustion, others from just trauma, went to their long rest. After a discussion between Duran and Cato, to try to bring a little bit of comfort and also ground, Duran wanting to get grounded somewhat back into the party and away from his frustrations, cast a dream spell to give Cato some comfort, having lost their tub on the journey here. But afterwards, Cato was visited by a strange dream, after effect echo, dark wings across dark waters, and while sleeping next to this corrupted shard of the sky, a slow, throbbing pain settled in to his leg. That is where we'll pick back up as morning dawns on the Whale's Whiskers, heading north, not at its full clip, as Baldir has retreated for the night. Halran, for the first time in decades, actually sleeping in cabin instead of up on the crow's nest. The early morning, we'll say just before dawn, as I know some of you don't sleep as long and some of you are early risers. Let's check in with where everyone is. Probably Halran's first, seeing as you do only require 4 hours of rest.
Yeah, so Halran wakes up in not the unfamiliar environment of his cabin, but not somewhere that he typically comes out of his trance. And not that it was a particularly restful trance necessarily, but it's still a bit of a shock to wake up in the cabin. And he does then decide to sort of immediately go up to the deck and get back out under the open sky and just see how things stand. So at this hour, I imagine there's only, maybe a couple people on deck at most?
Correct. Pretty much you have third watch is out there. Biriana having gone to her cabin currently. You have Lars, the ballista master, is actually at the wheel, steering, and slight nod to you. You're used to seeing you, maybe a little bit of surprise seeing you coming from below decks instead of sort of appearing down the rigging. As you do wake up, you do notice the spines from the reef spine corruption seem to becoming brittle and are almost becoming chalky. And in fact, this one that had been sort of poking into your neck is now sort of worn down, almost looks like it's eroded, and has become porous and is sort of no longer sort of jammed up against you. Just the normal movements of your sleep seem to have broken it down, and so it's just sort of a small kind of nub sticking through your skin there on your shoulder. But the rest of the smaller ones seem to have all but disappeared, eroded, fallen away.
Well, then Howron will take a little more time than he might have had they not eroded to walk on deck, enjoy a breath of fresh air. But after maybe 10 minutes of that, he will head downstairs and knock on Otrek's door again.
All right. Otrek will probably scramble out from underneath whatever he has hidden himself beneath and rush to the door. Yes.
Good morning, Otrek. Did you sleep well?
I slept.
That's good. Perhaps you still want to take a look at these spines before they apparently dissolve.
Yes, but we should get Kato.
I'll cross down the hallway and knock on Kato's door.
That is a question. Like, how far away is Kato and Otrek? Like,
Yeah.
there's reasons for it to be close.
I don't
There's also
think they're
reasons
like
for Kato to be like way the hell away.
I mean, I think there's that sort of, is it, actually, I should leave this to you, Kuma.
Isn't Kato's place in the aft castle, and like Otrek is below deck,
Yeah.
like at the basement?
So
That's my vibe, yeah.
very much.
I think it's probably safest to have them far apart because
Oh,
Kato
no.
because Kato can have injured persons. Kato has a surgery suite. Kato has the med bay, and Otrek has explosives.
He does.
Yeah.
That is known.
Yes. So it is. Yeah. It's a little bit, but again, I mean, the ship is only 200 feet from bow to stern, so it takes a second to get there, but it's not a huge trek to go and retrieve Kato from his cabin.
All right, so Otrek will tap, tap, tap with his thick, scaly claws on the door, rasp out, Kato.
Just a minute. Kato's gonna stand and just, I guess, after having the dream and experiencing this weird, almost, I don't want to say out of body experience, but just this strange sensation throughout the entire dream. Does Kato's leg still hurt when he wakes?
It is. While you haven't experienced this yourself, you have heard it described by many people who either are going through regeneration or who have chosen to not replace a lost limb, as many dwarves do, as it is considered a battle scar and a great story, and use prosthetics. It is like a phantom pain. It is. You can feel it, but then when you go to try to touch it or try to examine yourself, there's nothing there. Roll me a perception check. $17. What you do notice, all of your bedding is rotten, like a fabric dry rot. All of your furnishing, the upholstery, all of the beautiful furnishings that you had brought look like they are ancient and left behind. The fabrics, all of the fabrics, the woods, the things that 100 years or more of aging and ill care in bad environment that would be touched by this. Your magical wardrobe does still look fine, but even like your sleeping robe that you have on, I mean, you kind of are having a Mr. Habersham moment here in your cabin.
That was mahogany.
I have a selfish question. My cloak has been covering up that shard the entire night.
Yes, it has.
What's the cloak look like?
It is magical, but it is from the pelt of a displacer beast, and you can see through almost looks like moth-eaten holes that the cloak seems to have been affected as well.
Okay, this is stupid, and I know it's stupid, but I'm gonna do it because Kato likes Duran. I'm gonna take some of this bedding, understanding I'm probably gonna catch a glimpse of this shard, and I'm gonna get his cloak off of the shard and swap it with some bedding so that I can get Duran's cloak away before it's further ruined.
As you pick up some of the bedding, some of it just like, when you're picking up old fabric, just kind of falls apart. But there is enough. I mean, let's face it, you had some quality bedding.
To say either that, or I can go and like fetch my fainting gown or something,
yes,
like from the closet.
Yeah, and yet actually there is, as this happens, I mean, I'd say that would be certainly if Kato using more caution instead of urgency sees that the bedding is really in pretty bad shape, and seeing that the wardrobe is pristine still, or seemingly pristine compared to everything else, that there would be theoretically something fresher, some fresher fabric in there.
Yeah.
So as you do throw open the wardrobe, you do notice something that's never happened before. The hinges creak. But
okay, I can deal with the mahogany, but this is the last straw.
I would say outside they hear you all say this at the door as you were awakened by a knock at the door.
Oh no.
You may come in, but I am not appropriate.
Otrek, being not of the same race and of long familiarity with Kato, will gesture to those behind him with dramatic claw and jostle the door open and waddle his sausage self in.
Flop, 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 flop.
Kato's wearing some pants and like a
Pants.
loose t-shirt, just to fit something that can fit around his head. He's fine,
Okay.
but he's not pristine as he normally is.
Not as presentable and cleaned up, but on a quick survey of the room, do I notice anything amiss?
You notice where normally a tea tray or something with whatever fruit or any type of produce, vegetable, any type of food is just a pile of sort of disintegrated, corrupted mush You do see, again, you can see where this cloak that you would recognize as Duran's cloak, looking sort of moth-eaten on the floor, you see this sort of the edges of this crystalline structure sort of poking through. Not enough that there are not enough big enough pieces to cause that psychic feedback that you had before. It's still pretty much obscured, but you can see sort of where the sharp edges of the shard have sort of poked through and eaten their way through even this magical cloak, which as an artificer you would know is really not a good thing. To see that a magical item is being corrupted, disintegrated, almost like a rust is consuming it.
So, a quick question for you, the DM.
Mm-hmm.
Many ships have boats. Does the Whale's Whiskers have a boat?
We do. I mean, there is. Queta.
Not that one.
No, not this. I mean, there's. In addition, there is actually a dinghy type rowboat as well. But then in addition to that, there is also the magical swan boat.
We're not going to use our escape boat. So Otrek will survey this and realize that this is a very bad locus of corruption, and will make eye contact with Kato. This cannot stay on here.
I know. I didn't know before, but now we do.
Yes.
Take preventative steps. Can you fix any of this?
His waddle kind of bunches across his throat as he pulls his head back. Yes, of course.
He's gonna hand the cloak to Otrek.
Okay, so we're gonna have to do some work on that, I imagine.
Yep. So, quick question.
Quick answer.
I'm looking to Kato. How are you getting the cloak? Basically, what's probably going to happen here is a dexterity saving throw as you try to do an Indiana Jones of getting Duran's cloak and put whatever else over top of it. To cut to the chase here, so you don't have to try to read my mind of what I'm asking for.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't know if you wanted me to try to roleplay it first, and then you'd be like, "Oh, no." So I will roll.
You're welcome to roleplay it first. In fact, roleplay it for me so I can get an idea of what to set this DC at, of how crazy you're getting with this.
Oh, jeez. Kato's original plan had been to take the biggest thing in his wardrobe, which would probably be a large cloak of some sort, and put that cloak over the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Reach under, grab Duran's cloak, and pull that from under.
Ooh, okay. Gotcha.
That way it's not a let me take this off, look down, and watch what I'm doing there.
Gotcha. So yeah, no, it is a dexterity saving throw, but it means that you are reaching under this cloak blind.
All right. This is fun character stuff.
On a 10, as you reach underneath, sort of kind of remembering where Duran's cloak is, as a Dragonborn, you do have a little bit of a talon, to touch it. And as you pull, there is this sound like a nail across a chalkboard as your talon sort of drags across the actual and comes in contact with the surface of this shard of the sky, and there is an eruption of pain in your leg, in that same spot, that phantom pain. Duron, I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
What have you done to me? Oh, yeah, I test rolled a 4, and this isn't any better. It's a 2. So that makes it, like a 8, I think? Not even. A 6.
A 6.
A moment, if you would please.
Sure.
I don't know if I can, but
I was going to say, he's across on the other end of the ship
from
from you.
Nearby.
I have to look at how it's worded.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Because the other thing is, I'm not sure if you'd be aware that this is happening on the other side of the ship.
I don't know that I have to be, for one.
I'll be
can't do it.
fine.
Can't do it. I have to see them.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. So yeah, Duron is not anywhere
Way
inside.
the hell away.
Yeah. So Duron, you are slammed awake.
Oh my God.
From a roar in your head of pain that sends a shock of psychic sort of feedback into you as you take 11 points of psychic damage. You have had a long rest, but
Oh, I'm fine.
as you take 11 points of psychic damage and are just, I mean, it's that when you have one of those dreams that just gives you that instantaneous awake, it is that.
Yeah, y'all hear Duron's like huge sonic boom shout coming from below deck. And I don't know if I need to like make an insight on this or anything. I probably am just gonna dash up to where Kato is.
You don't necessarily have a direction of where it came from, but I mean, if that would be your reaction to something's wrong with me, I need to go see Kato the doctor.
It's more like that was strange. There's only one thing that this could possibly be coming from.
Gotcha. That would make
Let's
sense.
go see what's going on.
So, with that, what I'm going to do is put a pause on that happening because Baldir and Queda, you are awakened if you weren't already awake. Let's start in Baldir's room. You hear this shock wave of Duron's voice and come awake, but there also is actually, yeah, you've got a high perception. It doesn't even matter. It wouldn't even take a high perception roll. As you wake up, there is just a stench in your room from the barrels of fair food that you had stored in there that have all become just corrupted and rotten and just, I mean, you wake up and it's just this miasma. It's like you've been sleeping in a dumpster.
Yeah, I guess he awakens with a start, probably first by the shout from Duron, and then just kind of thinking about what happened the day before, the blood dripping, everything going on. He's waking with a start. He gets up and he starts like making his way like thunderously towards his door before he like kind of jolts upright, like rigid, and just like very slow, confused turn towards the barrels. And for a moment, as much as he does care for Duron, he is very saddened by the loss
of all his fair food.
Of all this amazing food that he we'll never have again, supposedly, if the plan comes to fruition. So there is a moment, unfortunately, of Duron just like barrels out of his room, like sprinting as fast as his large frame will take him, trying to check on his crewmate.
Yep. And then for Queta, a totally different awakening as the last time you heard this sound. It was when you were being haunted by the belt, and that it rings through your memory of this shadowy black plate armored figure, the Night Tempest, as it became stronger and was haunting you as you wake up in your darkened room.
So, I guess I make a perception check to see if there's anything amiss.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Okay.
On a 15, your room is very sparse, as you have told us before, and from your remodeling of getting rid of shadows before, there is some light coming in through the window, but you don't notice immediately anything amiss. You would have to tell me if there were any food type items or things like that might have been affected by the corruption. It's fine if they're not. Queta especially being sort of everything you've... I'll let you tell us about the room.
Yeah, it's pretty like bog standard, very, very much only the essentials. The closest thing would probably be some of the painting that she had been setting up for something that she had been planning to do. So if that was affected at all.
As most pigments do have a little bit of organic in them, and just because it's spooky, I think some of these paintings of the Black Knight, it's like it's begun to run as though, in some cases, the pigments, whatever organic compounds of the pigments began to eat into the canvas. And so there's places where it actually looks, they're starting to look like they're tattered and have a weird three-dimensional effect that's happening with them now.
All right. So Queta is gonna kind of steel herself, because this is, she figures that she was planning on doing something else, but now is as good a time as any. She's gonna summon the belt to her hand and kind of ask aloud, "Is it you? Is it the shard? Tell me." She's kind of speaking it aloud.
Roll
thinking
me
that.
a willpower charisma check.
Is that just flat charisma?
Yeah, just flat charisma.
Oh, that's not very good.
Never know. Dice might tell a story. On a 19. You sort of throw your will at this belt in that early morning, just awakened, your dreaming minds having not quite closed down those connections that happen when you're dreaming. And you get no words back, but just sort of a feeling, sort of a sullen, a sullen kind of building anger, almost like a storm kind of roiling on the horizon. But you don't feel as though it doesn't feel as though it's present here and now. It's as though it's sort of dark clouds, a storm on the horizon, but not here raging upon the ship.
So it's like separate from the corruption around.
Yeah. Definitely a different flavor.
Okay, Queta will kind of take a closer look at the kind of warped painting, bringing the belt closer, kind of holding it closer to her ear, to her mouth, and say, "Have you seen anything like this? Can you tell me if you've seen anything like this?"
We'll stay with your role. I think it's just that, especially since, it's just that sort of far off sort of rumbling. There is, again, the bond that you have with the belt is still very tentative and tenuous, I would say. It's just the impressions that you're able to get from it, even with that high of a roll. Yeah, it's not a cell phone. It's cans on a string.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's really funny. So she kind of gets like the, I guess the vibe that it's like different. It's, and that it's. Sorry, can you repeat it again? Is it like is there like a sense of familiarity, or is that like something she can't really tell through the?
Again, there's not a sense that what is occurring on the ship is of the same flavor as what was occurring during the hauntings before.
Hmm.
It definitely feels what's happening this morning is different than the other encounters you've had where the belt was the instigator.
Right. I think just like above table, Queta is like more kind of asking the Night Tempest, trying to ask of it if it has seen the corruption of the Sky Shard and if it is willing to tell her anything about it.
I don't think that you've got enough of a bond with that deity or even the belt at this point to get that information or get that question answered.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
So Queta will kind of wait for an answer, and not getting it, I guess she'll turn her attention to the noise. She'll probably, if she can, take her now like ruined painting, kind of like turn it over just so it's just like not visible to the open air. Yeah. Anymore. And she kind of like clutches the belt a bit tighter in her hand before, instead of like slipping it into her haversack, sliding it into her pocket.
Okay.
And moving on over to the source of the noise and the commotion.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you can hear Baldir in full run down the hallway. You heard Ace now out of, Duran now out of his cabin and, heading towards, as you said, the only thing that it could be back in the room. Cato, you've pulled Duran's jacket, but the three of you also, of course, would hear Duran's screaming. Cato, certainly being a doctor and being familiar with, palpating someone and seeing if there's a pain response, the simultaneousness of, this scratching across your nail, scratching across the shard, and Duran's yell. I'm not going to make you roll a medicine check for that. That's just basic doctor stuff. but all of you hear it.
Kato's currently in the floor clutching his leg. He's got the jacket kind of tossed out to the side. In the moment that he kind of has clarity and can hear Duron, his eyes are going to flash back over to Otrek. And I feel like they've known each other for long enough. They kind of have this thing where a lot of meaning is implied. They kind of just can almost have conversations silently.
Absolutely. You all spent a century together, and with the stone chalice, so.
But even if Otrek hadn't picked that up, like Kato is, his eyes are darting from like wherever Duron's cabin would be, the shard, Otrek, and then finally down to his own leg, making sure that, God, it felt like something was about to come out of that thing.
Yep. Halran, Otrek, what are you all up to?
Otrek will immediately snap to, grab 2 or 3 vials out of a handy belt pouch, smash them together, and immediately activate an aura of vitality.
What does aura of vitality do?
That is a good question. It is a 30-foot radius, concentration up to a minute. Healing energy radiates out from Otrek. Until the spell ends, the aura moves with him, and it is centered on him. As a bonus action, he can cause one creature in the aura, including himself, to regain 2d6 hit points. He just saw his, lifetime companion, friend, and in ways sponsor and mentor into society drop down in the presence of a necrotic fucking shard. So he's going to drop the biggest spell he's got, and that's Aura Vitality.
Okay. So yeah, just this sort of. Tell me what it looks like. I mean, is it visible off of Otrek, or how do you want to paint this?
Yeah, absolutely. So with those vials smashed, there's a phosphorescent glow, a very greenish, almost chalky color that sprays out from his palms and just encompasses the area around him. Small whirring mechanisms flare to life across his bandoliers and begin circulating those vitalizing fumes. So
yeah, you sort of see these. I can envision them almost like spores, type idea of this healing energy, almost like a green fairy fire spell that starts to sort of expand and waft around the room. There is, Kato certainly would feel comfort in this, but having not actually lost any vitality, I don't think it dulls the pain though, as this is, it's not true. Again, it's a phantom type pain that you're experiencing. Halran, anything you would like to do? Basically, as I would say about this time, we would have Duron, Baldir, and Quaida a little bit behind because of their conversation with the belt. Certainly close enough that you would realize that everyone was gathering quickly.
Well, but they're gathering at the other end of the ship, correct?
No, they're all coming. Duron is coming to Kato's room because of thinking that the only one thing the shard could do this. I was gonna say, Bird, where is Baldir running? I mean, you would see Duron running towards Kato's room. I mean, if you were going to run to Duron's room, you would basically, of course, cross paths with Duron or see Duron run past you towards Kato's room.
He's in hot pursuit, man. He is 1, concerned for Duron, and 2, hoping that Duron can undo whatever evil has been unleashed on his food supply. So he is like booking it.
Then with all that in mind, all I'd like to do is once Halran can maybe try to break into Kato and Otrek's silent communication thing, suggest that they move into the hallway, get something between them and the shard for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we communicate very quickly on that simpatico, that's just familiarity over centuries. The
Oh,
moment
I know.
you-
I was just
yeah.
teasing. You're
No,
fine.
no. I get that. Like, that can definitely be a thing for sure. Otrek will nod and gather those essences and like vital vespers. I want to say, just for the alliteration, and drag those out of the room. But Otrek's weak as shit. Are you going to be grabbing Kato?
I was about to. Yeah, I have 14 strength, so
I
I
have
can
an 8.
certainly
I have
help
an 8.
Kato.
It's the best I can do.
Oh, fair enough. I can help Kato stand up and stumble out if he's on board.
Yeah, Kato will take any help that he can get. He'll kind of drape an arm over you and hobble out with you.
So
Very good.
as Kato's room basically takes up the whole back of the ship, there's sort of these larger double doors, as this was sort of would have been like the captain's chambers type idea. And as you all sort of step out this one place where there actually is a fairly wide hallway, you sort of see bursting in Duron, Baldir close behind, and then out sort of across the deck heading this way. Ada.
If Queta sees everyone is gathering, they're not gathering in the same place as the shard, are they? Or are they all in that?
Oh, I've got something I'm gonna do. So
Yeah. One thing I will say, Duron, as you enter into Otrek's presence, let's have his thing do a thing. Go ahead and roll those 2d6.
yeah, I got a little nosebleed.
Yeah. If you want, I don't know if you have to direct it or just because he's the only person in the aura that does the thing. I'll let Otrek soul you.
Yeah.
You can say how you want to.
Yeah, we're as soon as anyone injured gets within, I'm gonna use that bonus action. If it's not going to be utilized by Kato, I'm just trying to find the best way to do that.
I mean, you can just hit the 2d6 and roll it with a.
There it goes.
There it goes. So yeah. So Duron,
That's,
you get
7.
as you run in, that sort of all but migraine-like spike in your skull does lessen some.
Cool. Yeah, Duan's gonna kind of like push his way through past everybody. He's gonna pull out his bottle and uncork it and plant it probably about 10 feet, 15 feet. No, actually, no. Better yet. We'll just, if everybody's leaving the room, we'll just put it in the doorway, and then you guys will watch as this small little bottle starts just emitting this really thick, misty smoke, and I'm gonna uncork my ever-smoking bottle, which will fill a 60-foot radius with smoke and mist, and heavily obscure the area.
Okay. You sort of see this, the room just becomes enveloped with this fog that's as big as the room. So yeah, it pretty much would fill the entire room.
And then I'll turn to Kato and ask, what happened?
Morning to you too.
Definitely not a good one.
Same. I believe that the shard is having some sort of negative effect, and it was eating away at your cloak. So I went to move your cloak and accidentally touched the shard with a claw tip. About that time, I had an incredibly sharp, deep pain in my leg. About the time that you roared out, and it's the same pain from my dream last night.
What pain?
Just, there's nothing there. And Kato is going to point down to his leg in like some frilly shorts that he slept in. His leg is perfectly fine. but it feels like a phantom pain. Like there was, like I lost my leg, but it still feels like it's there. Like it's not my own pain, but it is, and it's incredibly painful. But unfortunately, I know not the source. I thought it might have been one of you two with the spikes, given all of the corruption, but I'm at a bit of a loss.
Duron's not very smart. But do I have enough information to make an inference about what just happened?
This is where, I mean, if you'd like to roll for it to see whether Duron puts it together, you can. But I'm also
clever.
Yeah,
Duron's
I'm also
not super clever.
This is where I'm also okay with a little bit of meta. If you are getting it, I won't make you have to, sit here and do rolls until someone puts 2 and 2 together, because, so play it as you see fit.
Well, I had a searing pain in my head, and what you describe makes me think it is some reverberation through my connection to my patron.
You don't think that your patron, that beast, would have the pain that we're experiencing now? Is that the sick that Fitz was talking about?
That's what I am starting to wonder about.
Did your patron ever try to come here?
About that. We're sailing in the wrong direction.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Would you care to elaborate on the wrong direction? And before you do, let me make it clear. I spent a good sum of gold on the last of the saffron sliders from Maverick's Ale House, and I was saving them for a very special occasion.
What does
They
this
are
have to do
gone.
with your food?
They are gone. They are ruined. It sounds like in connection to what is happening with you two. So now, Duran, I simply ask, what do you mean we're going the wrong direction?
Let me butt in one moment. What was the special occasion? Are you having a birthday?
I was just going to wait and feel it out. You just kind of feel it in the moment. Sometimes it's an annual, it's a celebration. Sometimes you are just out and think, I'm going to treat myself tonight. And we've been under such stress lately. It's been hard to focus on the good, and I've been really focusing on this good to enjoy at a moment. You see he's like getting really worked up, and he like doesn't want to get worked up about it, and he's trying to play it like it's not a big deal, but it actually is a big deal to him. Just no matter.
I don't know what's going on with your food. There's always fish.
Oh.
But
Otrek will step back.
mean?
It's like everyone.
And at this point, he is like approaching Duran and like getting up in his grill. The wrong direction.
If Queta is like still like behind, she probably would have started walking in, but seeing that there's like smoke and hearing that there's like an argument about to break up, she has her own kind of plan of action for that shard, so she's actually going to hide if she can.
Okay, yeah, you can roll a stealth check. It's going to be tough because you were the last person getting there, and they're like everyone's between you and the door, and it's a wooden hallway.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody
Not
know
easy.
what Volkuran means?
Can I make?
So folks who are proficient, firstly, if people who speak Draconic and are proficient in either in history or I'd say history or it's there's no way around that. I think it's just history.
What if you're proficient in Draconic and Primordial?
I mean, Primordial. I'd let you roll. I'd let you roll a flat. Yeah, I'll let Duron roll a flat intelligence check. Go for it.
Nope.
I would say, people who speak Draconic and can roll a flat intelligence check if they'd like. If you speak Draconic. Ooh, look at Otrek.
That's what I do.
Look at that. And I love this. Because especially matching numbers.
That was flat intelligence, Kato?
Nice. I think there is that same sort of look at each other. And I'll let you all play this out if you all want to complete each other's sentences, but sort of the linguistic roots of Volkruran are sorrow, broken, and death.
So, a hollowness of soul, a depression, sadness.
Broken, an absence. There's, how do they put it?
A lack of life. Something
Yes.
vital missing.
Vitality itself missing. Death, essentially.
But more than something greater.
They feed into one another. These 3 points.
Is it a place?
You just are getting these are what the roots are. I mean, you do know, Duron, you do know it was seemed to be referred to from Shimandala as a place. But
Yeah, that's...
whether it's a metaphorical place or a physical place.
If it is a place, I would wish never to be there.
Shimandala is headed there and told me to bring the shard there. And it's south of here.
So, in reference to where we were when we were, or like where Shimandala's, I guess, den is, where we met Shimandala compared to where we are now, and compared to where there's any land, is there like a direction? Is there like,
So we'll actually even put the map up for everyone else on the stream to see as well. So if you go to Roll20, everyone should be on the map page. So up here, where I just pinged, that's where you encountered Shimandala. It was 2 weeks sailing down to here. This is basically where the Vile Reef is. And where you were basically offshore a mile 2 miles offshore of this landmass, this whole landmass down here, and Vile Reef sort of between you and the landmass. In fact, you saw how the Vile Reef sort of spilled over onto the land across the shore. The southward direction that Duran was feeling, from there it would be inland. I mean, and as we discussed when you were navigating what to do after first encountering the Vile Reef, there is this large river, Mississippi type river, the Nile, the Mississippi, the Amazon. It is a major river that spills out to the west of the Vile Reef, and that seems to actually sort of contain even the Vile Reef. On the western side of the Vile Reef seems to sort of be contained by the flow of this river.
I unfortunately cannot give any clues from my dream, but from what I did see, there were giant dark wings over glittering seas. From what I understand of our positioning, while I am no navigator, I can only assume that Shimandala is flying over the water. If that is what the source of this pain is, he's traveling now. If we want to get Fitz back, we need to turn around. Let me rephrase. We will get Fitz back, so we should turn around.
I won't waste a second more. And Baldir turns and very kind of approaching Duran. He doesn't make any contact with Duran, but he definitely is mean mugging Duran and doing a big just turning his frame, not hitting him, but definitely kind of exerting some kind of just height and power or authority over him before he is just kind of stomping his way upstairs and plans to just full on tidal wave, turn the sucker around and hit turbo to start heading the correct direction.
Let me help with that.
And he'll pause and just kind of turn his head back and basically just give you a once-over and silently, very short nod before heading upstairs.
I think everyone would have just kind of barreled past Queta as they were walking up the stairs, so she would have just seen them all run past. Well, she was trying to be very sneaky, but I rolled a 14 on that stealth check, so I don't think that was great.
No, I think
I didn't see anything you did, so
so she sees them kind of blitz through, and then she kind of sheepishly walks into the room, trying to I think keep the belt under wraps in her pocket and say, something happened in here?
So currently the room is full of mist and smoke. You've got you've got Halloran, Otrek, and Kato. I'm assuming still sort of standing outside of Kato's cabin, but the entire cabin at this point is a gray wall of mist and fog and smoke.
Yeah, so she would look in and say, was there some kind of excitement happening in here? I can't seem to tell. She's looking around, seeing where everyone is, trying to see.
We must move this shard, but I am cautious to do so. Kato, Halran. Otrek looks back up the hallway at Baldir and then thinks better of it as they're headed out.
Mm-hmm.
But Otrek's trying to muster the people that have experience with extra-planar randoms like necrotic bullshit. And
roll me an Arcana check.
Okay.
I remember that you've got a 12 in Arcana. Yeah, if you roll a 1, it's still good enough.
It's fine.
But no, while it definitely has a little bit of necrotic flair to it,
Okay.
from the little bit, before it's got obscured by Duran's bottle, you would have noticed the same thing that all of you noticed about the Vile Reef when you first arrived, and especially the corpses of these smaller green sort of proto dragons that had been, their bodies had been littered all over the reef. This isn't sort of a natural, necrotic magic does sort of draw upon the natural forces of magic and rot and decay and those types of things.
Right.
This isn't that. It looks similar, but it's not. It is a wasting corruption, not a true necrotic desiccation or decay or rot. But there's still some of those flavors that go along with it. The smells, the disintegration, the sort of, it's just the best way to try to describe it. But it's, again, it's that evolution, it's that weird evolutionary bullshit that Otrek would have encountered in his early life.
Right. So Otrek mentally is calling this the other death.
I love it.
And he will definitely want this off the ship. He will look to his allies and again repeat, we must remove this from here. I will take charge of it.
What do you want us?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Grant, go ahead.
Oh, I said, what do you want us to do? Speaking to Otrek.
So, Saul the player doesn't know exactly how to handle this thing, but I'm thinking packing it in salt in a barrel and throwing it on the dinghy and then watching it, like, at close proximity, unfortunately, probably going to be the best bet. Whether that's Otrek alone or Otrek with allies, it needs to be off the boat, but it still needs to be contained and within reach. So I'm thinking put it on a boat being pulled behind our ship, pack it in some sort of preservative, something that can't rot or decay, like salt, which would be prolific on a ship, and just watch it try and do its thing and be very careful with it. That does put it in a smaller ship. It does put it in a more fragile kind of perspective. Okay. Maybe using even lead or some other sort of really thick, heavy substance. Something to block it. Lead, granite, basalt, salt itself, bones of the earth. Maybe even, like, if we have a deep pitch or resin, something made from the most ancient of trees that we're using to salve the ship. Dwarven boat magic, I don't even know, man.
I like the general idea. My concern with, specifically when he said lead, was something tips it and it just goes straight down. So the barrel of salt might be the way to go. It would still sink, but...
Would it be, I guess, I don't even know how to word this in a way that it doesn't sound presumptuous.
Go for it.
This shard itself, like, it isn't cursed, is it?
I would say that at this point, none of you have been able to examine it closely enough to know. Oh, you've seen the effects it has on other things, but literally the only time any of you have ever taken a moment more than 6 seconds to look at it, have it affect you psychically, and then turn your eyes from it has not been able to give you any more deep insight into it.
I try to remove curse.
You certainly can try.
I will attempt with another claw tip. I will not warn Duron because he has this coming.
What did I do?
It may be difficult with the smoke. Perhaps we move the bottle first?
Yeah, I think anyone could move the bottle, couldn't they, Duron? I don't think it's locked in place.
No, it's not locked in place. It's not like I'm attuned to it. You just gotta cork the bottle.
Yeah, so I would think Otrick the Artificer probably would be like,
Sure, yeah.
We have 2 lizard brain cells we can rub together to make this happen.
Yeah.
That's the best we got.
So I will say, Queta, to answer your question, as soon as the bottle is corked, you can see, you spotted the little bit of damage around the deck last night. You can now see how it is spread to the entire chamber.
It really is bad. It really is getting worse. She's kind of looking around. Were you all planning this whole thingamajig about placing the thing in salt while she was there, and she would have been hearing this, or were you all just huddled in another place, trying to not talk to Queta about it?
Otrek is maybe not the most subtle of lizards, so he would be pointing and asking for and declaring.
Yeah, I'd say you probably were a part of all of this sort of as it's going on.
Queta would actually pipe up. Her hand is still in her pocket. She says, well, I don't know about any sort of container or preservative, but I did have an idea about actually taking hold of it.
Please, tell us.
I don't know if any of you are going to like it. And she starts to slowly remove the belt from her pocket.
Oh, the DM loves this.
I've got 2 questions as a player. One, I envision this belt to be more substantial than pocket-worthy. 2, and that's a statement, not a question, I vibe with that. 2, what are you thinking here, Meta? Are we gonna lasso the belt around?
You might be correct. I don't think anyone's gonna like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's in your pocket yet, so.
Yeah, that is a good question. How big is this shard?
Yeah.
We said before it's think of it's a sort of curved piece. Imagine it's a piece of the sky. So it would appear to be almost flat because the radius of it is so large. So
it's like an eggshell that's been supersized.
Yeah, it's in the grand Spelljammer thing of things, Spelljammer confirmed. There is a crystal sphere the size of the solar system. This is a piece of that, but this piece itself is only about 18 inches across. It's sort of a jagged, semi-triangular sort of type piece. It is sort of imagined safety glass that it's basically is just crazed with all these sort of fractures through it, and each one of the little facets of it, are. And again, you all haven't taken a deep look at it, but you can tell it is covered in hundreds of sort of facets that are no longer aligned in what would be a smooth piece of glass. It now is shattered but hasn't completely fallen into all the smaller pieces.
When I touched it and grabbed it, it felt like, for some reason in the picture in my head, I had this thought, and I don't remember if it was a description from you or not, but that it had veins in it almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sort of
corrupted.
That crazing goes through it, and I would say Duron probably would have that impression that it's not just that. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Would still have that impression of veins within the crazing.
Yeah, Otrek would very much hastily raise one scaly, clawed, clumsy paw and be like, let us not overcomplicate this. To Queda, who he is. Are you wearing your hat? You're probably not wearing your hat.
Nope.
Very, very much no. Identifies spooky belt. Worried about which dwarf has that. Not gonna have it. No. However, I do recall. Is there not a very adroit rope somewhere on deck? I know as a player there's a mentally controllable rope of wrapping around any bullshit that we need. I'm a lot safer with that than the cursed belt, personally. Anyone else vibing with that?
I was gonna say, yeah, Queda, you have your
That is mine.
rope of climbing.
Perhaps that is the case, but even if you did have that, how would you expect to be around this corruptive influence for so long? You can see what it's doing to the boat. It looks like you can feel what it's doing to yourselves.
Otrek will raise his claws and spread them, and that coalescing green radiance will crackle between them and say, I have confidences in my mechanisms, and should I need to take a break. He points at Kato, he points at Hauron, he gestures up the hallway towards Baldir and Duran. I believe there are those who could spell me. This is my expertise. I am here to manage the eldritch energies that others dare not. For two reasons. One, I can, and two, I will. And beady black eyes bore into you.
Yeah, I mean, Queda's not like super like insistent on this, but if they were mentioning just like getting it off the ship, getting it away from everyone else, it just seemed like the most practical idea. So,
Teleporting evil, like God Belt? It's a solution?
well, I mean, above board, I was actually going to attune to it, yes.
You were going to attune to the shard?
To the belt.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to attune to the shard. I'm like, are you mad?
Well, I mean,
yeah, but I mean, sure.
Ideas.
Also, above board, the only reason Otrek's being cold is you're not wearing your hat, so Otrek suggests you. He doesn't know who the hell you are.
Is this not identification enough?
No,
It's
it's not.
It's like you can't just use your passport. You need your birth certificate too.
I mean, if you start wearing the belt around, Otrek's going to realize that's a crazy person. That's a specific crazy person. But whether it's Queda or not is up in the air.
Yeah. So I guess if Otrek and Kato and Haran are all very insistent on doing this plan, then Queda will kind of look over to the belt, just kind of like mulling it over in her head, and just like slowly, I guess, keep it under wraps, whatever it'll do to keep it out of sight, because I don't know if it fits in a pocket anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how I was picturing it that it would fit in a pocket.
It's not like it's probably not like a weightlifter's belt, but it's not just like a little, it definitely has some substance to it, but it's not like a lifting belt. It's not a world, WWE championship belt with a giant buckle or anything.
I can't just freaking like.
But it could be. It totally could be.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, she like puts it, starts to wrap it up a bit more and says, as long as you're all confident and you all think you have this solution under wraps, I suppose we can keep this under wraps too. And she will start. The room is visibly rotting, right? So I think she would start actually like mending and working on like repairing the room.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's certainly obvious, but yeah, I was all for, you know, belt versus shard, man. Let's see whether we get a corrupted ghost out of this.
Yeah,
The ghost is the belt's already corrupted. No.
I like it. Let's do it.
No, let's not. Let's not do the thing. We're
We've
already
got a
doing,
couple more sessions.
We're already doing one stupid thing. Let's try to get rid of a curse first.
So I would say, you know, as this conversation is going on, and we're not going to dive too deep into Baldir and Duran's work up on deck unless you all want to role play it out if there's any adversarialness about it. But the ship does get spun around and is moving quickly back.
Literally spun around, lifted off, and spun, and then dropped back down in the water.
Yeah, and then a tidal wave behind it to push it forward. So I will say, Duran, as you start heading the right direction, that pool, and as very much, you know, you're now setting a course, whereas you've been in your room the whole previous day, as your navigation skills come from reading the sky, the water, the currents, very much so, you can feel that Shimandalas, that pool, is absolutely pulling you towards the mouth of the river.
Is that within sight?
At this, I mean, you did sail for half a day to the south. It will be within sight, probably within an hour or so.
Gotcha.
And actually, I was about to say the same thing with that turnaround because I need to as well. We're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back in just a few minutes, folks, with more of Last Voyage of the Whale's Whiskers. We'll be right back. And we're back. We got a little distracted talking about all sorts of other fun and exciting things, maybe yet to come on a station sometime near you. But as we pick back up, we have a ship heading the right direction, and we have let's do check in on Duran and Baldir up on deck, as the ship has been set up on its course, and Duran, you have sort of, through your navigational skills, through your way of reading the waves and the water and the currents, see that, it's not just a pool to the south, but a pool upriver.
Yeah. How big is this river? It's navigable, I'm assuming.
Like I said, we're talking it's Amazon, Mississippi wise. So here, like at the mouth, it's a good, 1,000 feet across. It's serious mouth of a river. This is not a stream in our world map. It would be a river that's visible on a globe level map.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'll just kind of point towards the mouth of the river. Who sails this ship? We have an NPC for that, and I don't remember who it was.
So Biriana at this point would have sort of be up and at the wheel. We have your normal crew. The rest of the crew are have their sort of daily things. They usually take care of most of the day-to-day the day-to-day pieces. But up in the rigging, you've got Kareth, Jadefish, the monk, who you all had saved. You have her. You have Lars, who would be up on deck, dealing with ropes and rigging. So, you have the older dwarf Edgar. Some of these NPCs that we've briefly touched on sort of are doing the day-to-day, operation of keeping the ship moving, except in extreme circumstances where you have this type of a course correction where it's like, yep, we need some magic to actually get us headed in the way we want to actually go.
Yeah, I'm assuming that we had a conversation with Biriana about what's going on.
I think probably with the sense of purpose that you all marched up deck, she probably has experienced maybe not Duran and Baldir pulling a 180 on navigation, but certainly probably Halran and Baldir doing it before, both of them with their water shaping abilities. So not her first rodeo. She probably would hand the wheel over and kind of come up beside the two of you. Anything you'd like to tell me about? And she now, when you sort of sigh, due to the Duran's eye, she gives you such a eyebrow raise and some little bit of shade.
I think she can also very clearly tell from Baldir's body language that he's pretty frustrated. He's a pretty jovial dude. He's got a little bit of tension in him right now.
A little intensity.
What I'm gonna do, I'm going to take my amulet, which is kind of where I imagine that pull is kind of coming from, and I'm just going to freeze the water that encompasses the shard and make it a kind of a point. And so the shard is at the tip, and just kind of hold it out as almost a makeshift compass, and have it point in the direction of the mouth of the river and say, we need to sail upriver to meet Shimandala.
So we're not meeting him back where we found him before. They're here now.
Apparently.
How long? How long did you know?
Now she really winds up and looks at Duran.
8 hours, maybe 9. It's not like he... After I came back to my chambers and took a rest, is right before he told me.
We lost those 8 or 9 hours. Why?
My own stubborn indignation and lack of understanding of our current situation. I was angry, I still am, that he sent us here.
You actually see Baldir soften a little bit to that. I think it's like kind of like when a teacher or something like that goes to like scold you or explain like why you did something foolish, and then you just kind of admit to it. There's like almost this like taken aback nature of like, huh, okay. you already know the discussion we were gonna have. But he just lets out a very heavy sigh.
That's my job.
Oh, Duron. You are one of, if not the most obstinate people I've ever met.
I've been called worse.
I'm sure you have. I'm not sure if you deserved it, but it's not my place to say on that much. There's clearly so much in you that aims to do well, that aims to do what is right and what is best. But moments like this, when your head becomes clouded and we waste time gambling on your own intentions while Fitz remains in captivity. I want to understand. I want to forgive, but
If it makes you feel any better, he spent the better half of the day ignoring me when I tried to reach out to him.
But what I'm hearing is you had the chance to be better than him, and you chose not to.
Duran will probably like kind of think that over and mull and like grind his teeth a little bit and sort of be like, well, you're not wrong.
Baldir will actually extend an arm towards Duran, not quite so forcefully, not quite so aggressively, but if you don't make a move or necessarily flinch to it, he is
probably wouldn't.
He's just gonna put a hand on your shoulder, and he goes to sigh and then catches himself doing it, and it's kind of like gasps back. It's tough, Duran. It's so tough.
Well, I can't fix past mistakes. I don't have that power. But I can do what I must to make them correct now. If you'll excuse me, Captain, I have a busy day.
You can see a couple times where Biriana was like all but going to jump in, but then bit her tongue. I would say she does sort of point to the horizon where both of you can see some of the taller, darker spikes of the Vile Reef sort of there on the horizon as you're heading in. And she just goes, just keep us well away from that.
I have a plan for that. And so to follow up on that, Duron will go outside and cast Control Water again and raise a like 20-foot high wave that kind of carries the ship up over and away from the spikes we'll keep this up as long as I can and for however far it goes, just so that we don't come anywhere near touching one of those things.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to pass over the reef to get to the river. As I said, it sort of is to the western side of it and sort of makes a boundary. But certainly you would be able to travel further away from the perimeter of the reef and closer to land than you normally would want to by giving yourself sort of this extra cushion of water and keel depth, so to speak, not worry after running into rocks on the sort of spit of land that's on the other side of the river. So it will certainly help.
Yeah, and then for the rest of the duration, I'll just use the spell to push the boat forward as fast as I can. I forget the exact details.
Yep. So it is going to take still about 4 hours before you reach the mouth, as you went 8 hours the wrong direction. But so about midday, you'll probably get there. The rest of the morning, we're going to look to Queda, Otrek, Halran, and Cato on this shard of the sky and what they want to do with it. As at this point, it is still, under a rapidly deteriorating, because it's non-magical, sort of dressing cloak of Cato's in the center of the floor.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna definitely. I'm sorry. Metazoa.
Oh, you're muted.
I realized I was muted. I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Just so we don't even have to think about it, let me actually make sure this isn't going to make things too difficult for us. Queda is going to cast darkness around the shard so we can't see it.
Okay.
So we can all work around it in peace.
In case it breaks through this. So I'm fine with we can fudge the rules for narrative purposes that you can make the sphere just sort of large enough to encompass that the shard itself. So there's sort of like this dome of darkness in the center of the room as you all are getting things ready for however you would like to handle it, examine it, pick it up, put it into something, etc.
Can the shard be banished?
Don't know. You can certainly try.
Banish only lasts a minute, right? Banish only.
Would it appear back in the ship?
If it belongs to this plane.
I've always used on a moving object banishment is relativistic, so it will return. It will. Yes, because otherwise you get in the whole thing and then it would fly off the planet type idea.
Proximal bullshit.
Yeah.
Physics. Hateful.
I don't see any.
I think it's a minute.
Oh, concentration up to a minute. Damn.
Yeah.
But I think Metazoa was onto something. Isn't there if it's not from this plane or if it is from this plane, isn't there a difference there?
If it's not, if a creature is not from this plane and you concentrate on banishment for the entire duration, the creature does not return at the end of the spell.
Correct.
Yeah, so
we don't want to do that though. We need that shit. We need that shit.
Come back.
Sorry, Baldir.
Oops, the whole campaign.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. Surprise, Cato's the bad guy.
I mean, we all knew this. No, I think that the main thing is, actually, high above table. Jay, I have some access to some kind of bullshit with the back of the ship?
You could sell me on what you want to do.
How much of this do I want to do on stream? We'll do it right here, right now. Right here, right now. Anyway. I've been drafted by Biriana to create a lot of arcane engineering to help us forge between particular places.
Mm-hmm. You have.
Utilizing any of that technology, design, or experience, can I invert that to create a non-spatial bubble to put this shard in? If I am...
Are you telling me you want to invert the warp core? Is that what you're telling me? The warp core containment?
I mean, if Geordie LaForge can do it, then my lizard boy can do it.
So...
Look, it's in a book.
So here's my only issue with it, and so
Sure.
this is the hurdle you have to overcome.
I've got little legs. Please
Yes.
make it a short hurdle. They're squat.
Your
They're
entire device that you have integrated into this ship has been waiting for a power source.
Oh no, we're not going to do that. We'll find a different route.
So
we're not gonna prime the pump like way early.
Okay,
That's cool.
I mean, and like I said, I'm
No.
okay. Cool.
I like the opportunity. Thank you for that. And everyone can see that Otrek is looking between the problem and the aft of the ship, and there are gears turning. And he goes, "No, some other way."
This doesn't have to do with the shard itself, but more the location that we're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Can I attempt to scry Shimandala?
Ooh, yeah, I'd let you try to scry Shimandala. I mean, Shimandala's got stats.
Could you
but-
scry Fitz instead?
Oh! Can I?
Sorry.
No, that was honestly such a better idea.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm
and I would think,
feeling it.
yeah, no, I think certainly if that would have come up in discussion between characters when you were planning on your idea. Yeah, so,
Just save some time.
yeah. So I think I just have to roll, right?
Yeah, I think it's a wisdom saving throw, yeah.
Yeah.
For Fitz.
Yeah. Ooh, 15. That was a flat 20. I assume, what's your DC?
How do I find that?
It would be your
actually?
DC basically for any of your spells.
It's your spell
It's
save DC,
eight.
and you know the target well.
Oh, 16. It's a 16. Spell
Oh, it doesn't
save
matter
is a
anyway.
16.
Yeah, there you go.
8 plus mod plus proficiency.
Yeah,
bonus.
8 plus mod plus proficiencies. So describe to me what does Cato's scrying look like, especially being more of a sort of scientific cleric than a necessarily divine cleric, but also you do have the chalice, which certainly is this sort of relic of yours where some of the more esoteric non-scientific casting can originate from.
Cato will go down to his chambers and kind of get his chalice. And it's a small cup. And as he is figuring out a way to connect to Fitz, he reaches into the dresser, the prestidigitation closet, and pulls out the book that Fitz reads from when he is scared.
Okay.
And Cato is going to start reading the passage that Fitz reads over and over to help bring himself security,
Mm-hmm.
while looking at the chalice. And my hope is that I will be able to see the scry through the reflection of the chalice using the connection to Fitz through the story.
Okay. So as you sort of peer into the chalice and these words, you are familiar with other casters who have these very archaic and arcane words, but just this simple story of heroism and bravery sort of becomes this chant. Not even a chant, as just filling the space of the room. And as your eyes peer down into the chalice, it's almost as though the bowl of the chalice grows and grows as your sight begins to dive down sort of through this mist that has formed in the bottom of it. And you are transported. It feels as though you leave your body, leave the room, as your consciousness just flows into the chalice. The story still in the back of your head. And the words of the story begin to change. And you hear them begin to describe what is happening at Fitz's location. There was once a young dwarven boy held captive by a great and mighty foe. He was squirreled away for weeks and weeks, but then one morning was picked up in the giant claws of this beast, and they began to fly through the day, through the night, across the sea, the sun's passing overhead, the moon shining on the water, traveling ever southward. In the distance, the first spits of land could be seen, and high mountains in the distance as the deep blue sea rushed by underneath the great beast, and the midday sun shone down upon its mighty wings. And you're brought back to your room, still sort of reciting this news story that had been implanted in your mind from the scrying spell.
Sorry, I'm jumping over to look at the map.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks like it's the same exact bit that we've seen. So I guess this only just confirms where we're going then, from inference, correct?
Correct. Yes, that Shimandala seems to be traveling as well, but certainly the impression of speed that you got, that this dragon flies much faster than your ship, and while they're able, what took you 2 weeks to travel, they seem to be traversing very rapidly.
I think the Kato at that point would just kind of put the book back up, put his chalice up, and head back to the group that is trying to figure out how to house this thing.
Certainly, I mean, yeah. What all do you all want to do next, either navigation-wise or I think we got navigation down with this. The only thing I would say, I mean, certainly Kato does know because you've been involved in this, and everyone worked together when first mapping out, trying to do a search map. And you do have these maps on board. You know Halrun has his collection of maps that were put together through Biriana's discussions with cartographers trying to translate the land masses from interviewing other flying creatures and primordial dragons. So you do have basically the map that we see is basically what the characters have as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
So as we approach the mouth of the river, the little ice compass that I have is pointing towards it. As we sail down and along the river, does it follow like the central point of the river, or does it point in like a single direction as if drawn to a magnet?
We'll know when we get there, won't we? I mean, y'all haven't arrived yet at the mouth, but at this point it's just pointing to the mouth of the river.
There you go.
So, but yes, once, I'm just seeing what's happening during the rest of the middle of the day before you start to get there. Go ahead and roll me a spellcasting check, because that's how you do your portents of navigation.
That I can do. Oh, look at that. All my bad rolls have washed away. It's a natural 20.
Yay!
That's like a 28? No, 20... Yeah, 28.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to get one in like 16 episodes. Right?
I know, right? So I would say very much Duran would know the way often when he's reading these currents and such. Your navigation prowess comes from the flow of water. Even when you were traveling across the Cerulean Sea, it was, through the pool of water. It would be very surprising to you, and especially the disconnect you felt when you were over the mountains, if it did not pull you along the course of the river.
So if we have navigation sorted out, and it sounds to me like we do, I guess what remains is to sort out the shard, right?
Correct.
Well, then Howron, at least, I assume in cooperation with Otrek and Kada, will start assembling things. I think the salt barrel and dinghy plan seems like the way to go. Unless, Otrek, you have other thoughts?
My thoughts are salt, lead, and a dinghy.
Yeah. Queda actually looks toward all of you doing your plans, and she says, well, you're putting your plan in motion. It looks like you have it all under control. Do you need me for anything? I would like to look at other parts of the ship.
Perhaps you could help us with the dinghy? Getting it more seaworthy? We'd hate for this to fall overboard.
Alrighty then. Queda says, and she goes to help make sure the dinghy is not going to freaking spontaneously capsize.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably more of the, if anything, precautions you might want to make against any sort of this corruption. You've seen how the wood sort of dries out, how it becomes decays, for lack of a better word. Any precautions you would want to make like that, along the same lines. There is if you do take a watch, certainly could mend while it decays as well. So,
do we have any gold?
Why do you ask?
Gold does not rust or tarnish.
Nor does lead.
Do we have lead?
Otrek just grins a little bit. I have
Yep.
many things.
He specifically put that on his list.
I've got a whole list of stuff.
You seem to have this well in hand. Never mind.
Yeah.
So what I would like to
It's
do.
like Kato brought a
is-
tub, Otrek brought a lead safe.
I mean,
There you
you
go.
do what you're good at, right? I'm not good at bathing.
Duron's the last person in the room to figure out, oh, hey, we can put it in, like, something that doesn't, like, break down. 'Cause...
So the goal here is we create a lead cask, and we drop that into a wooden barrel. The wooden barrel will be inscribed with symbols of preservation and positive energy. On top of that, we will pack the lead cask with salt and holy water, upon which we will grant the shard a little bit of space, and then pack it around with more salt and holy water. And then we'll lower that into the wood cast that has been blessed and engraved with symbols. And I'm not trying to make a magic item here. I'm really just trying to hedge my bets and be overdramatic, if I'm honest. I'm an artificer, and I am about over-engineering. If there's, like, one way that we can do it, we're going to double up, and then we're going to look at it, and then triple up.
Yep. Basically, I'm just going to say how long it's going to take to do that. It's basically going to take the better part of the day to make all of that happen. Go ahead and roll me an artificer roll. Whatever your magical whatever you normally roll for artificery. If you're making a magical item or doing things like that, I assume you use your spellcasting hoo-ha. Or just do me a spellcasting check. We'll use that as an artificer roll. 22. It takes time, mainly because of the thoroughness of Otrek. I mean, the rest of you certainly can sort of leave Otrek to it, and when he needs assistance, can lend a hand. I guess my only question is anyone going to make an attempt to do further examination of the shard before it is sealed away?
I think Queta would really quickly.
So how are you wanting to go about that? Are you just going to look and try to tough it out, or are you going to... I would also like to know how Soul is doing this without examining it or without having sight on it. Certainly you could build everything and then, blindly drop it in. I'm fine with
That's
that.
the plan. I'm not going to look at that damn thing.
Yeah,
So-
the darkness I put around it is only 1 hour long, so I don't think it would have lasted for the whole of this process.
Yeah. But so I am gonna make the artificer stuff we can hand wave, but I definitely want to have a dexterity check for getting this uneventfully from the floor into the cask.
Can I offer that Duron picked it up with his magic claw and can easily transport it to another location if we need to?
I really hope so, because I rolled like trash.
So, in any other case, I'd probably been like, yeah, y'all could have discussed that, and we can see how that goes.
Nobody asked.
However, Soul, I love you, man, but you rolled a nat 1, and I, being an engineer myself,
I am not the fucking most adroit of lizards. I am weak and I am clumsy. I'm just a lump.
well,
It's
and I also
fine.
think there's that whole thing of you were in the zone, you were in the engineering zone, and when it came time for the transport, instead of getting a person more maybe suited to it or whatever, you decided to do it yourself. And I will have this be so we can tie together yourself and Queta. Because this shard has been sitting in the room, and certainly the most damage on the ship has been in Cato's room. Queta has been in there, trying to put stuff back together. Also, just having sort of looked after Cato during the 2 weeks doing the dream. You sort of have been witnessing out of the corner of your ears, eyes, out of the corner of your eye, everything that Otrek is doing, keeping up darkness when you could, but otherwise you all are sort of keeping your eyes off of it. And then there's the transfer, perhaps with sort of lead tongs that you would use in your forge or whatever, and you hear a loud clunk. And I'll turn it to Quaida. Certainly catches your attention, and then your curiosity as well, as you've sort of been wanting a chance to look at it. Tell me what your goals are, or is it just a look? What are you trying to discern in this moment where you can examine or get a better look and feel of this?
I think she wants another idea of how comparable the affecting power of it is compared to the belt. Like her only experience with super strong psychic power is with the belt so far, and she kind of wants to compare and see if they're even comparable. So I think she would actually just step near it.
So you almost involuntarily turn and step towards this shard. Roll me a perception check. So
21.
This is one of those weird ones where a closer look might not necessarily be the best of things. You turn and sort of involuntary step toward it and look at this shard, and you can see the general impression you got it from just a 6-second glance, sort of when we were first encountering it. You see this sort of faceted, cracked surface, and each one of the facets there is a strange, unreadable glyph, but obviously vastly intricate, almost fractal in its composition. And every one of these hundreds of facets have one. And then within the cracks that these facets are made up, you sort of see these pulsing green veins of corruption. That same sort of corruption that had invaded the reef seems to have penetrated down through these cracks, these small little openings that have occurred from this shard having been damaged when it's crashed out of the sky, fell to the ground, and the corruption seems to have seeped down into that. And when you look at it, it's like all of the glyphs, almost as though they were pupils in an eye, look back at you. All of them sort of move across their facet until they are all focused on you. And with a pulse of the corrupting force, you take 37 points of psychic damage.
Yo!
As they sort of bore into you.
I have a player stage change, but Quaida is definitely feeling that one. She really just reels back at the sensation of the force, turns away, and maybe even just unconsciously holds on to the belt wrapped up in her in the thing that she wrapped it up in.
Otrek, you sort of see this sort of unfold, sort of averting your eyes from looking directly at the shard. Quaida sort of falling backwards, bumping into sort of the bedside table, falling to the ground, looking away, and you are then able to grab the shard and get it into this this lead sort of vault. You had a better word for it. Urn that you have created, buried in the salt, and sort of get this squirreled away.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that and make that a priority, but a healing spell is on the second order for sure. Watching them get racked by that is... Yeah, we're going to queue up something after that.
Okay. Yeah, so you get this sort of locked away. Make sure, again, as a good engineer artificer would, get back into a safe condition with this system that you've, and you can flap cross over to Queta, who's sort of knocked aback, and do me a perception check.
Me?
Yes, Otrek.
Cool. I ain't see shit.
That's performance.
Was it? That's...
Might be the same.
No, it's not. Why is it... No. Let me roll without advantage.
Well, I'll take the first number. That's fine.
Sure.
Yeah. That's how it works. The first number is without advantage or disadvantage. So the 12. As you look at Queta and sort of doing your quick, everything you've learned from Cato, doing the quick examination, look at their eyes, look at them. You see in the sclera, the white of Queta's eyes, almost as though it has been burned in, these hundreds of little tiny runes sort of burned into the sclera of her eye. It's sort of fading away, not permanent, but you can see almost like an after image. Like if you look at a flash, it's almost like, but you're seeing it as though it was almost like the reflection of having looked at the shard yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna avert our eyes very quickly from that. That is not what I want in my eyeballs or my life.
Yeah, and Queta is, if she can see those as she's looking around at those after images,
sort of like
it's
floaters.
It's like one of those really fast vision tests where they pop dots all around you.
Mm-hmm.
Queta is just looking around at them, maybe unconsciously, but she can't take her eyes off them, even if she kind of realizes that looking at them kind of feels painful.
Yeah. So, your eyes are sort of darting around. Otrek, you would, having averted your eyes at first, you would sort of be able to process that it doesn't seem as though this sort of after image is causing damage to you, but certainly Queta is in some distress.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna... The shard's been packed away, yes?
Yes, the shard is packed away. I'd say you haven't nailed the final nails on the top of the barrel, but it is in a safe condition.
I hate to be the cold-blooded reptile here, but glancing over, seeing that Queta, bunch of K names up in this. Seeing that Queta is not dying or aspirating on blood or doing anything exciting like that, we're going to finish putting those nails in the coffin of the shard.
Okay.
I hate to do it, but we're just going to let you writhe around in pain. Sorry, lass.
Yeah, if that's the case, then Queta will actually struggle to her feet and just dart over back to her room to do something else. I don't know if you want to finish up everything they're doing, Jay, before I just do something really...
Yeah, I was going to say, Otrek, it's pretty uneventful as you get this finished off. You do see Queta sort of run out of the room, reeling somewhat, but perhaps to go rest and recover from their encounter with the shard.
Oh, no. We're going to track them down afterwards because they might be a possessed hulk of a dwarven, specter or something. I don't trust a damn thing on this boat right now. Not with the shard, not with the belt, not with spooky, primordial dragons.
Yeah.
People not wearing their hats.
No, how can I keep track of you without a hat? You all look the same.
I will say that Queta probably does have a little bit of time before you would, since you did say you were going to finish up with the barrel and doing that, that's going to take, a few minutes. So what do you want to do, Queta, in that interim time?
Yeah, Queta is kind of running away back into maybe not even her room, but any backward place where there's the corruption is touching the boat the least.
Certainly, the other end, it radiated out from Cato's room, so you probably get out of that corruption zone by midship area.
All right. Queta kind of huddles into that secluded corner of that area. I guess she would be breathing heavily. Holding onto the belt, she would say, There are worse things to fear than you. And she'll start attuning to it.
Okay. So you slip the belt around your waist and begin the attunement process.
Catch me if you can, soul.
Otrek, you sort of finish up with this and head out sort of into the hallway outside. Go ahead and roll me a stealth check, Queta.
Sure.
Just to see how easy or hard you would be to find. You know this ship better than anybody.
Stealth is actually the thing I have the highest skill in, so that's actually really disappointing.
So, Otrek, again, not trusting anything and being surrounded by strangers with no hats.
Right.
Are you going to actively search out for where Queta has gone?
After seeing runes being burned into someone's eyes, yeah, we're absolutely going to pursue after we get that shard secured. But after that, yeah, we're gonna go gunning. Okay.
I would say, like I said, it's going to take you 10 minutes or so to get that all packaged up.
That's cool.
So go ahead and roll me a. We're going to call this investigation. You tell me. Is this a methodical search for Queta?
Cold-blooded. I'm finding that dwarf that has that imprint from the shard.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that Otrek does not recognize affiliations without hats.
Yeah. So I'll give you a disadvantage on this.
That's fair. I will take that. It's in there.
Ooh, it hasn't popped up for me yet. There it is. On a 16, it takes some time. You pull several of the other Dwarven members of the crew.
You!
Yes.
Not you. Maybe not. Hold up.
Yeah. Upside before, after about 30, 35 minutes, you see just Queta sort of sitting on a pile of nets amongst some barrels, just sitting quietly, sort of down in the forward hold of the ship. Or you see a dwarf that you think you might recognize.
This is where I start to realize that this is probably the dwarf, right?
Yeah, I'd say it, with the 16, you are realizing this is probably the dwarf because you've checked all the other ones.
Checked all the other dwarf.
Yeah, if Queta is looking around at people, if she sees Otrek approaching, she will give signs of recognition. It will look like she knows who you are.
Yeah.
All right. Otrek will calmly reach and draw their pistol. Reach with the other hand. Prime the horn with Eldritch Silver. Skirl their hand across the barrel, carving it. And we're gonna prep. Branding Smite.
So, above table, what changed Otrek from the "I'm going to heal this person" to now I'm prepping an Eldritch Smite? Help me, walk me through that. Other than the fact that you know that Meta is attuning to this belt.
It's not about attuning to the belt. It's about being flash burned with Eldritch runes, having to deal with this, and then them hiding.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on, but I want to be ready for the worst.
Okay.
I know there are bad things on here. I know this thing is attached. This person may burst forth with spines and crabs. I'm gonna have to get some burning, like, radiance to deal with that. The pistol is up.
Okay.
It is radiantly flaring.
Gotcha.
It's a precaution, maybe a threat, but really just if I would rather have it than not.
No, and that's great. I just need to get myself also to be in your headspace, and so that Queta can react to Otrek appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Above
I
table?
would argue.
Go ahead.
I would also argue it's justified because given that the belt before the whole spines thing and before the reef was probably the biggest like suspicious thing happening and the biggest like whole haunting thing, I think this is totally justified.
I don't even know that you've got the belt on you. All I know is there was a dwarf in this cabin that was flashed with that necrotic, ghosty, spiky thing, and they left and I couldn't find them.
The other death.
I don't even know. The other death. I don't even know about the belt at this point. But above table, I don't want to do PvP. I want this to be hashable and chill. I don't want you to feel awkward. I don't want me to feel awkward. But Otrek is feeling threatened. But he also wants to keep this... Otrek has been with the crew for a while. He doesn't want to just shoot another crew member. But he also doesn't want a witch hunt for a crew member like, oh, this one's possessed!
Yeah.
So I wanna handle this pretty relaxed. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah. Thanks for taking us through your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safety tools in action.
Right. So Queta would see Otrek surmount this like hidey hole and emblazon with radiant power a pistol. There would be eye contact, but there wouldn't be words at this point.
Safety precautions, she says, kind of focusing a bit more of her energy on like attuning to the belt.
There is much afoot, and there are deaths, and then there are deaths. Please, accompany me back and sit with the officers so that we may know that this is not something that has harmed you. I saw what was burned into your eyes. Please, do not make me make the hard choice. And the pistol will, I don't want to say lower, but it will, from overhead and blazing, it will come down to here.
Yeah.
How close is she to finishing the attunement?
Usually takes an hour, so you've got a good 20 minutes left.
Yeah, so Queta still like having her focus be toward attuning to this thing. She says, there are a lot of dangerous things out there. a lot of them more dangerous than what I think I'm doing right now.
All right. Oh, I hate doing it. Otrek will turn his head to the side, kind of towards the front of the boat, and call out strongly, calmly but strongly, Duran! Because if I'm going to deal with the devil, we're going to get the guy that knows what's doing.
Oh. I guess, would I hear him from there, from where I am?
I would say, yeah, we said they're about midships, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounded strange, so I'll go see what's going on.
you approach this scene. We won't fully describe it again, but yeah, Meta sort of sitting down on sort of ropes and sort of against the side of the ship, the gunwale, and Otrek with pistol drawn and flaring with radiant energy.
I think
Certainly the rest of the crew probably would have heard Otrek call out specifically for Duran, but if curiosity is getting any of you all, or certainly depending on where you think your character would be. I mean, if Harun's up in the rigging, you could sort of be easily take a look over the side and see what's kind of starting to transpire.
Oh yeah, definitely. If Kato's within ear reach, that is the things are bad, but they are not out of control right yet. Tone. That is the, all right, the patient seems to be on fire.
I may have caused the fire.
The fire may have been incidental. We need more witnesses to really know.
So a couple of sessions ago, got it.
Fine.
So, Duran, Otrek, Queta. Rest of y'all can step in to this scene whenever you think is where you would be arriving.
Oh.
I'm gonna just step back.
All right.
Did I miss something?
The shard was exposed. A dwarf was exposed. I was exposed. I contained the shard, and now we are at an impasse.
About what?
There were runes on the shard, and there were runes in the dwarves' eyes. This is the dwarf. They are being furtive. I have no strong bindings to the shard. You do. You will notice that there is a glowing, almost star-like structure around the pistol, and it's aimed not at Queta, but it's prepped. It's definitely...
Yeah. It's
sort
like,
of Damocles.
I don't want to do this, but don't make me do this.
I don't want to do this, but I don't want to not have this handy.
Okay. You were exposed, and she was exposed, and I was exposed. But why are you pointing your gun at her and not me or yourself?
Queta just simply says, it's safety precautions. It's sensible.
There were runes in its eyes.
Do I see runes in Queta's eyes?
You do not at this point. That's faded.
Do I see anything unusual about Queta at all, other than...
I would say you can see some of the, as you've been attuning, not just because you wouldn't have paid attention to such things. You could see where there are some remnants of blood from corners of the eyes and the ears, which you, very much having experienced multiple bouts of psychic damage, that there has certainly been a psychic event that has occurred to Queda.
Do I notice the blood?
I would say yes.
Then I'll call for the medic. Kato!
It's semi-dried at this point, but yeah, the
well,
runes caught your eye more than the blood when you were right up back in the room.
Upon being called for, Kato will start heading towards that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So looking over at at Queda would hear just in her mind, is there anything else you want to tell me?
I just think it would be helpful to have everything at our disposal, whatever we're facing.
I see.
We don't know the consequences of what you did, right?
Well,
So
and
we
just to
should
be
be
clear,
prepared.
you have to say that all out loud because it's not a. I think
Oh.
it's only one way.
Oh, okay. So yeah, she's saying this out loud. Yeah. So she would say, "Well, it's like you said. We don't know the
Don't-
consequences of what you did, but we
Don't
should be prepared."
tell the others what you're doing.
Are
But
you
I
are you saying that?
No, still in your head,
Okay.
but I don't have any problems with it.
Queda nods and just keeps her focus on the tuning. What is the timetable on this right now? How much time do I have left?
Again, we said 20 minutes. A few more minutes have passed, so you're still 15 minutes out.
Sounds good.
I am super happy to have the attunement happen while we're in a stalemate. Like, that's so cool.
This is fun.
Yeah, Kato coming in, Hauron, anybody?
I was gonna say, I'd say at this point probably
Kato?
Kato is arriving, and again, if Halron and Baldir, I'm assuming you're doing your normal engine piece, thinking about saffron sliders.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like, unless he's directly called, he's kind of thinking, like, oh, the magic people are taking care of the magic stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Um,
Halron's keeping an eye on things from the rigging, but doesn't realize why Otrek called for Kato. Otherwise, he would have offered a healing
Yeah.
spell. But for the time being, is waiting to act if need be.
Got it.
If it wasn't so normal for all the smart people to go disappear in the smart people world, it's like pretty regularly, I probably would be saying more. But this is kind of like par for the course. It seems
Absolutely, yeah.
true.
No.
I thought we covered that Duron wasn't one of the smart people.
I'm not one of the smart people. So I'm like, why did I get called
Yeah.
here?
That's like all the
Duron
smart
was
people and their one friend.
Yeah.
Duron was the first one to be called, so that to me is like a
Wee-oo.
Alarm bells.
So Kato,
You've got evil? Let's get the evil guy in.
Wow.
Kato, the sensible one, arrives.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Kato.
Ship mom arrives.
Yeah.
I think Queda has suffered a backlash from the shard.
From what I have heard, those are most unpleasant.
Yes. Yes.
Queda just nods, still focusing.
Can I tell what Quaid doing?
Roll me an arcane.
I am approaching to.
I was gonna
heal.
say, I mean, there's there's not a lot of outward signs that someone is attuning. I'd say, it's an Arcana check at disadvantage, and it's got a high DC.
Oh, then no, I'm not about to yuck somebody's yum. This is a character choice. I was curious if Kato was aware.
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, attunement is very much just a it's almost sort of kind of being meditative, and I would say this is just what I would think Cato's read of this would be. It's almost like, oh,
There's like
this
shock.
this is
almost.
mild shock. Yeah.
Yep. Cato will. I will expend a because you took a beefy hit. Let's see.
Yeah, Duron had a nosebleed. I just imagined that like blood's pouring out of her eyes and like ears.
Yeah, it's like the eyes.
I wouldn't
and
say
ears
pouring,
and-
but it's certainly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have health to spare, but it was like almost a third. So
Woo! No wonder you're taking traumatic actions. That's smart.
Yeah. I will. Where's my cures? Where's my cure wounds? Let's do one of these guys. 40. You're back to normal.
There you go.
oh, nice. Is this-
The light kind of fades from Cato's palms, and the warmth that was there fades as the magic pulses through you. And from there, Cato takes a step back, kind of glances you once over. Now, Queda, I believe you're going through a state of shock. That was a mighty hit you took, and you are bleeding from multiple orifices in your body. Please be careful. Let me know if you get any headaches, you feel any sort of abnormal fatigue, or you see if you have any flashes in your eyesight.
Well, thank you, Cato. I'll make sure you're the first to know. She's still like intently focusing, if that's like a giveaway of anything.
Yeah, no, it's
Maybe I can escort Queda back to her room.
Otrek's head just tracks back and forth. Eyes don't leave the dwarf. I saw the shard. Cato,
yes.
are they free of influence?
They?
I understand what's happening here.
It, him, her, whatever.
Otrek, I believe that you are having difficulty with this dwarf's identification because Queda is not wearing her hat. The dwarf in question is Queda.
Above table. Metazoa.
Describe the hat!
It's not the hat. It's. I want to know exactly how good Queda has been about fading into the background and being just another stagehand. Do I know that you are more than just the person that puts together stages? At this point, I'm suspecting yes, as we went down on that exploration together.
Yeah, you would have. If Otrek was paying attention to that, then he would at least recognize her for that. But like, as far as like crossing her during like working stuff,
Probably
maybe not. Maybe we would have more reason to, because like you're working on stuff in the back of the ship and she's working on the ship in general.
All right.
So,
Cool.
I mean, like, make of that what you will, but like, as for like general like day-to-day stuff, she kind of just like operates on her own, doing stuff.
So, Otrek's gonna connect that Queda with the Queda that went down with us and was a badass versus sharks, and an eldritch spellcaster and a combatant of some acumen and strong will, and with Cato's backing, I will cease concentration on branding smite and sheathe my pistol and say, I trust. And I'll turn my back and go back to the cask and load it on the ship.
Quato will like quickly look up and say, I do appreciate your trust. But I think it may be in your interest to stay over here just a little while longer. you know. And she kind of just holds tightly and says, safety precautions and all.
I was gonna ping Kato with a mental message. Don't go too far.
Otrek?
Kato doesn't speak out loud. He knows this trick, but
Otrek is gonna give it up. He's gonna give up the position. I've already said I've relinquished the spell. That was one of my few third level spell slots that I was holding there. No, it's fine. This is really cool. I don't like PvP, but I do like player versus player tension. Yeah, we're gonna go take care of the cask. That's what they trust me to do. There was an instant, and my companions have it under wraps, and Queda is a trusted ally. Either you will succeed or you will be meat.
Basically, yeah.
Lizard folk.
So Otrek, you're heading back to the cask. Duron and Kato are staying with Queda. Observation is kind of a normal thing for Kato. Duron, out of whatever sick sense of curiosity that you've got going on, you all just sort of sit with Queda for about 15 more minutes.
Duron, do you care to explain exactly why we are sitting here in silence, in partial darkness?
So Duron's gonna. I don't know when you asked that question. Is it immediate? If not, if it's like 5-10 minutes go by, I'll just say, Once I think that it's about time. Well, Queda is, I think, going to tell us what is happening with their belt.
With their belt?
And right about then, as you all look down at Queda, you see the shadows begin to coalesce from around them, slide across the floor, and begin to come together in sort of these semi-metallic pieces. As you see armor made out of shadow and darkness begin to assemble itself into a shadowy, dark figure, fully solid, an echo of the night tempest, and looks to all of you, looks to Queda, and draws its sword. And that is where we're going to end our session for the evening.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Let's go.
Cool. I don't have my cloak, guys. So,
Hey,
yeah.
wait a minute. How much help was it last time?
It would have been great help had he remembered he had it.
Oh. Sorry, had to take my shots where I could, bud.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed our story this evening. We're going to go up that river eventually. One of these days we'll go up the river. Hope you all had a good time. Hope you enjoyed our show. Once again, we do run 100% for charity. If you'd like to support us, please support Satchel's Last Resort. You can click on the link down below. But let's go around the table, meet our players, and find out where we can find them other places out on the internet and other great and cool projects that they are working on. I know we got a couple people who've got some published things out. We got people with their other streams they're working on. So let's hear all about it. Start with Soul.
Hey everybody, I'm Soul. You can find me everywhere online as Soul's Rolls, which is a horrible thing as a person with a lisp to try and have as a moniker, but here we go. I run a couple different things. I run a website with blog posts. I have Twitter with a lot of good health and wellness tips and work-life balance. I do social media marketing and managing for a couple different clients, and I also run another stream, which is the Hellboars, a Lancer actual play, which is a lot of fun and a lot of great stuff. My Twitch is going to expand over the course of the next couple months, so give it a watch. You're probably going to see a lot of these same faces around.
Next up, we have Ace.
Hi. I'm the normal one here. I'm just Ace of Sween on Twitter and probably elsewhere. I run a home game with some friends. Well, not home. Online game with some friends. We're doing Icewind Dale right now, but that's it. That's all I got.
Next up, we have Grant.
Hi, everybody. I'm Grant, and yeah, thanks for watching tonight. Jay did mention, published stuff, and yesterday I did put out my first big piece of 5e content. You can find that through my Twitter account. I'll post the username in the Twitch chat here. And thanks again for watching.
Next up, we have Meta.
Hi. Whoa. Sorry. I'm Metazoa. You can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, and on Instagram as Metazoa54321. I'm actually just going to put my character's name here, and you will see that that's the name. That's me. I play music. I've started trying to do more compositional stuff on my own. Hopefully to try and compose for other tabletop shows. I'm trying to put feelers out there for that. I also just write pop music in my spare time, so that's cool too. Sometimes I stream. Yeah, I do stuff.
Next up, we have Bird versus Plane.
Hey folks, I'm Bird. I'm Bird versus Plane basically everywhere. You can find me almost nowhere but here right now. Life is interesting, but excited to start playing a little bit more in the new year and hopefully get back to some kind of streams from here and there to raise some money. But fun session as always, guys.
And last but not least, we have Kuma.
Hello, yes, I am Kuma. You can find me everywhere online at Kuma the Bronze. You can find me on Twitch currently at Souls Rolls. I am part of the crew for the Hellboars. Woo! And outside of that, I do Twitch streaming. I kind of want to start doing some more theory crafting on top of some RCU shiny hunting because that's really mindless work. And I do a lot of my best writing verbal. I'm also writing a book and I'm looking forward to some more TTRPG projects. Thank you guys so much for watching and great session.
And I'm Tall Squall. I was your DM. Hope you all enjoyed it. Once again, you can find me here and all across social media as Tall Squall. Hope you all, as players and viewers, all had fun and enjoyed our show. Again, if you can support either Satchels or your local rescue, please do. There's so many animals who need rescue and need a good home. And don't forget those older animals as well, because they can be just as wonderful as a puppy. I certainly found that with Lunar. And until next time, gather your friends together and tell a story, because that's what it's all about. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.